Good day and welcome all. This is Davis from Swedbank Co-Creation Space, where we support early stage fintech and sustainability startups. And I'll be your host for the upcoming hour and a half. And I know that the following words might come to a bit too late, but still, welcome to 2021. And more specifically, welcome to the first Swedbank Seedtalks of this year. And when thinking about the topics we might talk about during the new year, one stood out a bit, and the one about the acceleration programs and how they can drive sustainability. And not only is it important to us at Swedbank, but also to our dear friends and partners, TechChill. From there on, we knew that this would be the first topic that we should talk about moreover. And additionally to that, we knew that we should partner up with TechChill in doing that. And on one hand, the topic is important to us as we have recently launched Future Hub Acceleration Program, as well as TechChill is part of the Europe Accelerator. But I'm not going to go deeper into this as they will be discussing this later on. On other hand, this topic is important for the same reason why we created these programs, because we believe that accelerators can, leave a lasting impact on the world through the way that they work with their teams, basically. And now more than ever, it is necessary for the teams that work on sustainability solutions to get as much help and opportunities as possible. And that is where accelerators come into play. They can put the spotlight on the right solutions and then help them fight for the cause that is important, not only to the companies themselves, but also to the world as whole. And that's why today we wanted to put the spotlight on accelerators and hear it from their side, as well as hear from the startups that have had a first-hand experience in going through acceleration programs. So get your notebooks ready, but don't go too far from your keyboards, as you should use the opportunity to ask questions to our today's speakers and panel discussion participants. And you will be able to do that quite simply, I would say. Just open slido.com on your browser and enter the event code 40788. And we will cover all the questions during the Q&A session in the end of this event. So without further ado, I'd love to give the floor to my dear colleague, Adriana Cauliņa, Sustainability Officer at Swedbank Latvia, to tell us a little bit more about Future Hub Accelerator. So welcome, Adriana. Welcome to the stage, and the floor is yours.
Yes, hi, hello. We have freshly finished scouting and recruiting partners and startups for our Future Hub Accelerator, which is going live in 10 days on March 8th. And this is the type of accelerator, which is this open innovation format. And let me tell you a few words about it. All right, I hope the screen is visible. Yes. So the organizers of this accelerator is Swedbank. But we couldn't do it without Helve, who has really great experience in innovations and startups and putting these two things together. So, and why we are doing this? Basically, we have three reasons behind. For Baltic countries, it is very important to start the sustainability dialogue with the corporate world. And I think the accelerator is one very practical format how to start assessing sustainability problems and putting hands on solving it. Banks, and especially large banks as Swedbank, we have some experience with open banking, and we have a network with fintechs, and now we are making a step further into infrastructure of green techs and making our alliances wider. And the third reason, of course, it's solutions, it's innovations themselves, because when it comes to sustainability, innovations are key, both like groundbreaking and incremental innovations. And we will see from our partner challenges that there is a real need already, not just in the future. And what I'm especially proud is with our wide ecosystem, where thanks to the great partnership, we are able to bring this fresh air from Europe to Latvian industry leaders to solve their challenges and to widen the view on the problems and take on sustainability. And will be 5 corporate partners in this accelerator. Swedbank, Rimi, Orkla, Latvenergo with their sub-brand Electrum, and Riga City Council. And it's very fortunate that we are covering each different vertical of this accelerator, and because our challenges fall in the areas of food, smart cities and energy, supply chain, and business sustainability. I don't want to steal the show because each of the partners are going to present their challenges for which they will be cooperating with the startups in this accelerator. They will be doing it on the March 8th when the accelerator will be launched. Yeah, so next time you will hear about the Future Hub is March 8th around noon. Please follow us. If you are very impatient, you can go in the futurehub.eu webpage and scroll through the challenges and our plans already in this very moment. But other than that, we will be looking forward to almost 3 months of intense work. And then we meet in TechChill conference to see what's the outcome is going to be like. So for a future hub, you can check in here to learn more. But other than that, I'm giving my screen back to Dāvis or already to the next speaker.
Yep, it's me. It's me. Thank you, Adriana, for sharing. And don't go too far, as we'll need you back for the panel discussion as well. So, yeah, thank you for sharing. Next up, I'd like to give the stage to Āris Brencis, who is not only the investor, startup community manager at TechChill, but also the sourcing manager at Europe Accelerator. So, Āris, welcome. The stage is yours.
Hi, everyone. It's really great to be here, here being my apartment and on your computer screens. As mentioned before, I manage investor, startup, and community relations at TechChill. And through TechChill, I'm also one of the sourcing managers for the Europe Acceleration Program. So today I'm kind of wearing 2 hats, and I will try to quickly run over what Europe is, what is TechChill's role in it, and also how it relates to our flagship event. But before we start with that, I actually have a small competition for all the viewers. Today we're going to give away 3 free passes to TechChill 2021. And all you will have to do is answer one simple question. Well, simple enough if you know where to look. I will read the question in a few seconds. You will also see it on Slido, and this is where you have to provide the answer. And after you provide the answer, I will ask you to take a screenshot where we can see the answer and your nickname so we can verify you later on in case you're one of the winners. So the question is, what are the core agenda topics of TechChill 2021? So there are 4 in total. If you get at least 3 correct, that will be fine. So the question again, what are the core agenda topics of TechChill 2021? So we're going to see who's the winner in a few minutes. But now I think I can go back to Europe and TechChill, and hopefully my screen is already visible. If not, it will appear soon, so I'm just gonna go ahead. So what is Europe? Europe is a 6-month acceleration program under the Startup Europe initiative, and our main goal is to connect startups with other deep tech actors across Europe, and we do this through events, media, training, and matchmaking. Our program accepts startups from all across Europe, as well as other Horizon 2020 partner countries, but we do have some regions where we put a focus on, and these regions are the Baltics, Visegrad, and also Benelux countries. So when startups apply, we give a little bit of priority to startups coming from these regions. And the program itself is delivered by 6 startup ecosystem players across Europe. These are F6S, The Next Web, Design Terminal, Growth Tribe, and obviously also TechChill. So TechChill's main goal or main responsibility within the program is publication and promotion, but we also deliver some of the training as well as mentoring to startups. How the program works is that over 2 years, we have split it into 6 cohorts. Each of the cohorts is dedicated to one specific trend in the deep tech industry. We already had health tech and agri-tech cohorts, which have finished now. Right now, the artificial intelligence and machine learning cohort is ongoing. And still ahead of us in the future, we will have smart cities and sustainability, space tech, and fintech. So how it works is that we have an open call, the startups apply, we select 25, the best 25 of them, and they usually come from various stages in their development. We have a few very early stage startups, then we have quite a few growth stage startups, and usually around 5 scaling startups as well. So we cover quite a large ground, and it's really great for the startups communicating amongst themselves and learning from each other. So I will also take the moment to do some shameless self-promotion, I guess, because currently we have the open call for smart city and sustainability startups. So if you're in charge of developing a new product or service which goes under this track, then definitely feel free to apply for the program, receive great training, receive one-on-one mentoring, access to leading in tech events in Europe, and so on. So when I mention leading tech events and also access to these, this is something that we provide to the selected startups. And one of the conferences or tech events that startups can attend is also TechChill. So this is sort of my segue into TechChill. So if anyone is attending TechChill 2021, you will have the chance to meet the startups from artificial intelligence and machine learning cohort. They will have their own booth. Some of them might be pitching in the pitch competition and so on. But if you look at this slide, I think one thing that really catches your eye is the dates and the length of TechChill 2021. And it might feel a bit overwhelming. So I just wanted to sort of quickly take the opportunity to explain it a little bit, because you have to understand that this year's TechChill consists sort of building blocks. So you can pick and choose what fits for you, and you're in charge of your own agenda. So I will quickly run over the overall structure of the event, and hopefully this will give you a better picture and understanding of what you can expect if you attend it. So everything will start with Baltic Tech Day on May 7th. So this is the official opening of TechChill 2021, and we will shine spotlight on everything Baltic Tech. So for this day, we put the rest of the world on the sidelines for a while, and we just focus on the trends in the Baltics right now and what is the future outlook. And that's just it. That's very straightforward. From there, we will move on to our side event week. This will bring a lot of engaging and interactive events from our friends and partners. Among these, you will have the chance to see startup speech at demo days. If you're looking for a new challenge in your career, you will have the chance to interact with some startups that are currently hiring, and you might find your next challenge there. Definitely a great choice if you're in search of a new employment opportunity right now. And then also you will have the chance to already start networking with other attendees and setting up meetings for the next week. And everything culminates with our content and networking week. So basically, this is where you have the opportunity to catch keynotes, panel discussions, and fireside chats from top experts from various tech industries on such topics as sustainability, knowledge for growth, digital transformation and the human side of tech. And on top of that, you can also engage yourself in various roundtable discussions or gain some new skills during masterclasses. And the main thing, which I think is the bread and butter of TechChill, is obviously networking and matchmaking. So during this week, you will have the chance to set up all your meetings, meet with investors, meet with potential employers. And one great thing which has come out from the fact that the event is actually held online this year is that we're seeing a lot more US-based VC funds signing up for the event. So startups will have some new pathways that weren't available before. So that's in short about X Europe and about TechChill this year. And I think we can see if whether or not we already have a winner for the competition.
Hi, thank you, Āris, for sharing all the presentation. And as we see, so are we ready to announce the winners? Yeah, am I correct? Okay, then first winner is Tatiana Freeby. Sorry for the mispronunciation, maybe. Second one is Andris D. Yeah, Andris D. And third is Arturs D. A lot of short surnames we have today. So these are the three winners. Thank you, Āris, for the little competition you had there. That's something that we always welcome, of course. And yeah, from my side, it's not a secret that we've been long-term time partners, and we are excited to see what you will have created for your 10th anniversary in TechChill. So thank you for sharing, and let's wait for the conference itself as well. Okay, so we can continue, but before that, I just wanted to give a small reminder that you can also leave your questions for the speakers. Simply open the slido.com on the browser and enter the code 40788, and we'll cover all the questions in the end of the Q&A session. Yeah, so, but now it is high time to give the floor to our keynote speaker, Markus Hølland Eikeland, the program director at Katapult, Ocean Accelerator, and VC Sustainability Fund focused on accelerating ocean tech startups from all over the world. So Markus, the floor is yours, and happy to have you here.
Thanks, guys. I'm just gonna share my screen. Let me know if, are you guys seeing my screen right now?
Yes.
Yes? Not yet? Hold on. Let's see if I can make this work here. I mean, we should be able to do this now that we're in COVID times. Had plenty of time to practice. So, calls, if you can give me an indication, thumbs up or down. Right, okay, I'm gonna go into presentation here. Hopefully this is gonna work. Yeah, so thank you again for, thanks again for inviting me. Thanks to Swedbank, Adriana, TechChill.
Sorry, Markus. Now we see your screen, so all good.
Okay. Thank you. That's good to know. I can't really see anyone. I can just see my presentation, so that's good feedback. So yeah, I'm like super excited to be here. I'm really excited about this thing you call Future Hub. I think that's a brilliant idea, and actually, it's also what we're been doing with the industry. So I'm really excited to share this with you. So I'm Markus. I'm the program director of Katapult Ocean, which is a sustainability and ocean-focused fund. And to kick this off, I'm going to show you something not so pleasant. So I'm going to show you this picture, and I'm going to ask you a question. How does this make you feel? I'm just going to let that hang there a bit. So these are, one is taken in Norway in 2017, the other one's taken in 2020, north coast of England. And obviously, you know, this is heartbreaking. And the way we're currently dealing with this as a species, as human beings, is sticking our heads in the sand. And this is basically why we created Katapult Ocean. So we really want to solve some problems in the world, and so Katapult Ocean is a global leading early stage ocean investor, accelerating and investing in profitable tech companies with a positive impact on our oceans and society. So we're really excited about that. Our sectors doesn't only deal with ocean health, so it's energy, transportation, harvesting, and new frontiers. Invested in 32 companies already from 17 countries the past 2 years, and screening yearly around 2,000 company. And we also, like Future Hub, align ourselves and partner with the industry itself. We're an early accelerator doing accelerate investments, but also doubling down. So we're going to launch a scale fund this year, pretty big, or at least bigger than the funds we've had until now, where we sort of back the winners. So we take the best companies from the accelerator program and double down. Quickly into the areas. So energy, wave, tidal, wind, storage, maritime. We're talking about shipping, tourism, vehicles, harvesting, aquaculture, medicine, sustainable fishing, ocean health. Like I said, plastics, problems with plastics, problems with agricultural runoffs, waste management, pollution, stuff like that. And what we call new frontiers. That's just a bucket where we place anything we can't really place in the other buckets. We place there, but it's basically looking at data, which allows us to learn more about the other buckets. And the enabling tech here is, and I'm sure you've seen this before. These are the hot sort of buzzwords: robotics, IoT, AI, machine learning, blockchain, etc. So, you know, it's better to just talk about something specific. So to give you an understanding of what we're actually investing in, take an example, Evoy, which was in our first batch. That's done really, really well. They're being dubbed the Tesla of the sea. So they're sort of coming out with a new electric propulsion system and producing the world's most powerful outboard electric motor. So we're really, really excited about Evoy. Then we have like a company called Ocean Rainforests, which is the Faroe Islands in the North Sea, doing seaweed farming in large scales. Hooked, we recently invested in Hooked, which is a Swedish plant-based seafood alternative. And Pinovo, actually, this is interesting. Turns out that when we repaint ships and offshore installations, what they do is they just sandblast the old paint, and paint by definition is plastic. So all that paint just going straight into the oceans. So Pinovo is making a zero pollution vacuum blasting solution, which is actually also out competing the old systems that's in place. So not only is it better environmentally and impact, it's also better performance-wise. So these are kind of like our investing philosophy is not just finding impact companies who just have impact. We really want to see that they can make a huge profit, because we know that if you can make a huge profit, you can also make a huge impact. Energy-wise, Solar Duck, which is a Dutch company doing offshore solar farms, really, really cool. Oceanium, using developing food products and packaging material made from seaweed. And this also is a good example that we're looking at the entire sort of value chain. So we're looking at, for example, Ocean Rainforest, who's producing seaweed, potentially could be a supplier to one of our startups, which is Oceanium, which is sort of offsetting plastics and actually making alternative plastic packaging products. Really, really exciting. So yeah, so that's sort of the portfolio looking. Like I said, we're sort of going deep in the industry, and so we really want to align ourselves with them, and that brings me sort of also to the next to my next point, which is kind of like what's special about our program. And I think on a high level, I think our industry is kind of hard to penetrate, and the reason for that is that, you know, the industry itself is filled with lots of established players, what we call incumbents, and I think they see startups as potential risks because, you know, partly they're coming from a conservative industry. I mean, shipping, agriculture, fish farming, these are pre-established, long-lasting industries. So one side, they're conservative, but also, you know, on the other side, they're also heavily regulated. So startups, you know, coming in and potentially disrupting the industry or trying to align yourself with the industry is sometimes quite hard. So brands like Katapult, I mean, we're trying to bridge this. So, and I guess this is also the case for the future hub you're talking about. You know, it's really trying to bridge the gap. And because we partnered with some of these industry players, basically we're backed by big shipping companies and agriculture companies and fish farms. We're able to introduce these companies and also offer pilot customers, industry tech environments, test labs, stuff like that. I guess that's a thing that we've seen, that our program is unique and that adds value to startup companies. The other thing, I guess the program is focusing on, it's 90 days, really hardworking 90 days, full on 20 hours per week, where we get specific on business strategy, growth strategy, investor readiness, and pitching abilities. And so we put a lot of mentors, a lot of also industry experts into the mix, and do as much learning and its insights as we can, and mentoring as we can into those 90 days. And the way they've described our program, I think one of the founders said, it's like drinking from a fire hose. So obviously it's an extremely intense period, but the startups see the benefit of actually doing a program like that. It's also forcing founders to work on the business instead of in the business. And I guess this is also, you know, this is nothing new, but, you know, being a tech founder, and I've been a tech founder, you know, your head is in the sand a lot, and you're sort of trying to fix problems as they go and day by day. The luxury of having coming into a program and actually being forced to lift your views and look at look at high level what we're actually doing, why are we doing this, what are we trying to solve, can we do it in a better way, going back to those things for a period of time and being forced to rethink some of your past sort of assumptions is great. It's really great to work on the business instead of in the business. Also, what some of our guys are saying is that they come to realize that impact can be a fundamental vehicle for growth. And what I mean by that is that, you know, if you get specific on impact, it could really be powerful. Because if you're specific on impact, it draws attention. People, you know, care about your mission. It feeds through everything. Your ability to attract talent, your ability to attract capital, you know, ability to attract pilot customers, early adopters. That really gets, you can sort of go to the next level. And so we really try to put a lot of time and effort into, and we use something called the theory of change framework to really help startups rethink how they think about their own impact, and we get them to come up with impact KPIs and measurements. So because we know that if you get really serious about that and strategic about that, you can quadruple sales, drive your brand differentiation strategy, innovate much faster. And so yeah, it's just really exciting because customers see that you're really authentic. And I think lastly, and I'm happy to go into discussions about this, but one of the things that we always get, which is valuable with the program like this, is just sharing the experience and getting a network. And that's easy to say, but when you're a founder and it's you against the world, and you're dealing with a lot of ups and downs, and usually more downs than ups, it's really great to be in a cohort of like-minded people who's taking the same risk as you are, because that helps. That it's almost like an AA meeting. You go in and you talk about your day, and it's like just share your ups and downs, and it feels good, and it helps you push on to get you to the next level. So that was some of the feedback we're getting from the program. And I'm happy to talk about and discuss sort of value adds of acceleration programs with you all, and take questions. And I'm really also looking forward to just learning from you guys as well. And I think it's super exciting what you guys are doing with the Future Hub and with TechChills and the conferences, putting a lot of inspiring a lot of people to create pursue their dreams and create a company, and potentially also create impact. And we're really passionate about that. So, okay, so that's there's something called Zoom fatigue. So I want you trial you and slides. It's better to maybe interact. So this is what I had so far, and I'm happy to just interact with you. So. Okay. Yeah, David, tell us what's going on.
So first of all, thank you, Marcus, for the presentation. And I just wanted to say that I think you're doing amazing things. So I'm just happy to listening to so many great solutions and how you support them. And also, I'm eager to hear, what the panel discussion will bring, just to, exchange ideas and, know a little bit more about your approaches and future plans, maybe even. So yeah, looking forward to that. So before I see that we don't have yet questions, people are keeping the best ones for the panel discussion, I suppose. But I had maybe a little bit more personal question, but just I eager to know why did you choose the oceans as the field you wanted to help the most? What was the first experience? What changed your mindset to go where you help the industry where you are right now?
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's a good question. I think I guess there's always been a connection with the sea. So I'm an avid kite surfer and surfer. So I'm actually at the northwest coast of Norway right now on a surf camp slash home officing. So I really enjoy the sea. I like spending time in and around the sea, and I've also done a lot of traveling in the world, Asia and South America.
So it seems Marcus just lost connection slightly. Okay, sorry, Marcus, we don't hear you. Your screen has been frozen, but I think it's.
I froze you. You sort of kind of shield. I guess I lost you there. Did I?
Yeah. We lost each other in some part.
I'm back on now. So sorry, I disconnected there. But just to wrap that up, I think it's just been I've been traveling around the world, and I've seen how devastating it is with a lot of pollutions in and around the oceans. And so it was kind of easy for me to say yes to this when the opportunity presented itself. So that's sort of how I got into this, and it was the founder of Katapult who really got me with the impact angle, and because I've always been in tech, but if I can combine tech with sustainability and impact, I seriously doubt there's anything more meaningful you can do with your life. Try to create a better future for future generations and stuff like that. So so that was sort of the start for me.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing. And I absolutely agree on the three components you just mentioned. What's what makes it worth it, right? So I think it's about time, right, for us to go a little bit deeper into the importance of the accelerators, and nowadays how they have how they can drive sustainability. So I'd like to welcome everyone back on the stage, as well as introduce Wikmann, the co-founder and CEO of BeeSage. So quick reminder to the viewers, if you have any questions to the panel discussion members, so slido.com, enter the code 40788. And welcome everyone. And now I'm giving the floor over to Adriana, and she will be the host, or let's say moderator, for this panel discussion. Have a great one.
Hi, gentlemen. Well, I will jump right on. So I'm still very overwhelmed with the conversations and negotiations that I had with corporates when recruiting corporates for partners in the Future Hub Accelerator. And I must admit that at least in the Baltic region, this open innovation format is not really widespread. And here I mean like big established corporates working together with the startups on the challenges that the corporates bring on the table. And well, there were very many corporates to whom we really have to sell hard the format. So let's sell. How would you put it? Why open innovation is something that corporates should consider? Why not innovate in-house while look outside? So, Markus, what's your take on this? How would you put it?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I actually have somewhat of experience with this because I've been sort of challenging corporates with this for quite a few years. I started a global consultancy company that had innovation as the core product. We're sort of we try to evangelize the corporate world, and trying to encourage them to embrace open innovation because of the significant strengths and opportunities that comes with it. But it was hard. It was really hard to convince them of especially. I mean, one thing is having your own sort of innovation lab within the corporations and playing around with certain devices or potential products or services, but actually this collaboration with startup companies, that was difficult for the groups I was talking to. And I guess it's because it's a new way, it's a new world, it's a new way of thinking value creation. It's about sharing data and building upon the data of other people and and APIs and stuff like that. And in the old world, your leverage, your power was in holding on to your assets and really building a fort around it. And it's pretty much flipped around now. It's if you're not sharing, you're not creating value, you're not relevant anymore. So it's this complete shift of mindset, which I think a lot of people are just dealing with, and corporations are dealing with. And I guess it comes down to bureaucracy. Some some companies are more stifling than others. They're not as agile. So, I mean, it takes, if you go back 50, 60, 70 years, you would have a decade maybe to change your business model. Today, you have 3 months to change your business model, or else you're potentially losing extreme amounts of revenue and are seen as irrelevant. So the pace is just picked up. Everybody's dealing with this, but yeah, it's definitely a struggle, a challenge for incumbents, for big established corporations.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was probably not a good answer.
Well, yes. Well, we came down to the mindset and maybe to being used to this approach. And actually, I have to say that for the banking I think some 3-4 years back, we were just in a very same situation, but we were a little bit pushed into this open innovation by these legislative initiatives on open banking, where we have to open our infrastructure for the startups to give additional value. And we have learned that while maintaining the compliance, we also can gain by adding value to our customers. But we will get back to this. But well, Āris, how would you put it from the end of the startups? When this co-creation, what's and why this is an attractive format for startup, and is it an attractive format for startups?
I mean, it's definitely an attractive format for startups. The main thing is what most startups, well, not most startups, but what startups often lack is funds. Though, even though we have a lot of accelerators and VC funds available here in the Baltics, in the region, and wider into Europe, there's still not enough for everyone. So usually the startups have two ways. They can either go the venture capital road and attract funding rounds over and over again and giving up some of the equity, or they can bootstrap. And bootstrapping is not easy in and of itself. So you already need some funds, you need some external resources. So open innovation is definitely like a third alternative. So this cooperation with corporations, that's a bit of a tongue twister. It can really come into handy into getting some influx of money. And another thing I think which is really beneficial is that by lacking funds, the startups often lack also infrastructure. So by having this cooperation, you can get access to a well-established company. You can sort of attach your own brand to this already established brand, which gives you much more visibility. And they can probably also provide you with some in-depth data that they have available. And large enterprises also usually have like well-established legal teams, which can help you with like regulatory processes, which can be a real pain. So there's definitely a lot of ways. And another one is you can also get some access to the customer base that the larger enterprise already has, or they can help you get to the market quicker. So there are definitely many of these, but also listening to what Marcus said, it's definitely sort of like a symbiotic relationship. Both the startups and corporations benefit from it. And I think there's also some individual approach that has to be taken for each situation on a case-to-case basis.
How would you put it? What are the preconditions for success? Well, from the corporate side, from the startup side, but also from the program side, so that these open innovation formats, they mature and bring something of the value.
I would say from the corporation and startup side, it's just setting clear goals right from the start. You have to work towards the same goal right from the beginning. And I think that transparency is also very important from both sides, from the startup and from the corporation. That it's called open innovation for a reason. So hidden agendas won't really work here. And then from the program side, I would say some facilitation really comes into handy. Because that's what we've seen at X Europe. We've been sort of participating in the conversations between startups and the corporations all through the way, and that really helps sort of accelerating the whole situation, especially if it's the first time doing anything like this for the corporation. So it goes a long way.
Marcus, would you agree? You are muted. You are muted.
Again, I should know this by now. We've had enough time. Yeah, I was casting my mind back to I did a program. I built a program for one of the largest banks in Norway 5 years ago, which became their flagship startup program. And yeah, I dealt with this, like you say, Āris, with the transparency and sort of hidden agendas. And a practical way, I sort of forced the bank to initiate interest. It was to invite them to come down. We had a space that we were sitting in, and I had everyone, the startup companies, the founders, stand in a circle. We did a circle, like a stand-up meeting, and I had them to pitch the company and to get the sharing going. And I also forced the bank's executives to come down and do the same. I mean, they were equal. I mean, everybody's in this together. So the banks had to pitch what they're doing, and it was quite fun. And they were super uncomfortable with it. And they came in their blue suits and ties, and the startup people had hoodies on. And so it was a clash of cultures, and you could totally see it was awkward in the beginning. But I mean, that whole interaction led to one specific incident, and that was that one of the companies pivoted. Actually, the banker came down and said, "I can't understand what your product is, and I don't really get what you're trying to pitch." Listen, we have this project, he said, continued to go on this machine learning project, and it would be cool to see if that algorithm could actually work. That ended up in becoming a project. That was the first customer. They went in, built a prototype for the bank, and that became $1 billion company. This was back in 2016. So it was a great example of forcing that sharing and innovation happening can lead to enormous value creation, both for the corporations but also for the startups.
Ru, what's your experience with the partnerships? When I read the description, you have very ambitious goal of your startup, and which reads as that you are on a mission to enable bees to share knowledge with the human race. Please tell us more about your company and reflect on the partnerships. How meaningful have they been on your way?
Okay, well, hello everyone. My name is Wikmann. I'm the CEO and co-founder of BeeSage. I'm really honored to be here. And when it comes to partnerships, that's probably the most important thing really in startup success and business success in general. I don't think one person can really pull it off. It's a huge effort, and it takes complementary skills. So just a little bit kind of about my own story. I spent a very long time abroad, 15 years. I'm actually Latvian, but I did live in the UK, most of it in London. Then I had a bit of a chance to also spend some time in America. But then I returned end of 2019, and I took up a challenge to learn how to code. So then I participated in this hackathon, which was actually organized by TechChill. It was called LMT IoT Hackathon, and that's where I met my co-founder. That's how we formed the company as partners, and also that's where we met our partner at the moment, BeeKing, which is a digital beekeeping assistant application. What we do as BeeSage, I guess I should start with that. It's an intelligent system for data-driven beekeeping. So in other words, we created a beehive monitoring system that helps beekeepers maximize production by eliminating risks and enabling informed decisions. And the way it all started at the hackathon was so that we didn't come there with an idea. I didn't know the guy who's now my co-founder. We just resonated with the idea, which was basically given to us. It was a urban beekeeper. He was there just because he was looking after the bees that actually were on the roof of a LMT building where they have some hives. And they've been testing out some equipment, and they figured, well, it's a good idea to actually use some of the sensors that they have available to build something. And then he basically told us about this idea, and we all resonated with it. There was a few people also, but me and Āris, my co-founder, we formed the main team afterwards, and we took it further. But then the next day, it was a friend of this beekeeper who's also a beekeeper, but he also has this app. So he's like a techie hipster beekeeper, you could say. And he came over and really helped us to kind of figure out what is it actually that we're trying to do, what is the problem, why is this important, and what we should build. So we managed to actually build something that works, and we managed to win. So that's how BeeSage started.
I mean, it sounds like, you know, a chrestomatic example. So there was an industry player with a challenge and you came in to solve it. Can we have some more examples? Actually, I can mention 2 examples from Swedbank Life. Well, in our innovation, we rather focus more on keeping our infrastructure to the next level. So we don't have really the capacity, so many extra capacity to deliver new value-adding products. And we had 2 valuable partnerships. One is this Amina Technologies. It's actually the tool that manages your subscriptions, and now it's integrated in the mobile app for Swedbank for users in Sweden. And well, it's like value adding while using the Swedbank app. And a similar story with Asteria, which is a cash management planning tool for corporates, putting together information from the bank and accounting systems. And also you can have this tool right in your internet bank to take care of your daily tasks. So any more examples? Because and I think it's very important to put it down and to highlight these examples, because that increases the trust from the corporates and really shows that this open innovation is working and it can bring value.
Yeah, I guess I should start with the fact that the corporate world is a little bit foreign to us, right? It's not something that we focus on, and it's just not really that relevant to us. So there are different types of businesses, and a lot of businesses these days, they actually sell to corporates, and that's why they want to form partnerships and actually get their revenue that way. But for us, we are more of a from the ground up effort, right? So actually making relationships with the beekeepers, which a lot of them, they are businesses, but they actually individuals mostly. They're small beekeepers, they could be hobby beekeepers that want to use our product to look after their colonies. And with corporates, it's kind of a different world. Whereas here, in regards to, if we go back to partnerships, I guess the closest thing to that would be really just finding this relevant technology that's complementary to what you're doing. That's what happened to us, because Beeking, they are this digital beekeeping assistant, and they already kind of been active for a few years, and Āris, our advisor, so he's one of the regional leads at Latvian Beekeeping Association, and that's why, like, he has all these connections, and he's beekeeper himself. He's been a beekeeper for like 4 or 5 years. Like, I never had any experience with bees before BeeSage. It was all just very serendipitous. Like, my co-founder's father is a beekeeper, for example, but I didn't have any exposure to it whatsoever. But I just really resonated with the problem, and I've started learning beekeeping now myself as well. So I'm actually studying it, and I'm taking it seriously. But back to the partnership issue, I think it's just, it needs to be complementary. We do hardware, and everybody knows that hardware is hard. It takes very specific skills to make it work, to create it, and especially if it's a IoT hardware, right? Hardware that is connected. So it's the software and the hardware together. So that's why what we're looking to do is to integrate data from our sensors into Beeking, which is this digital beekeeping assistant. So then they actually see this data, and they're making notes about the jobs that they've done in the apiary and other things. So it's it creates this complete experience for the beekeeper. So for us, that's why this partnership is so important, and we're really grateful for this opportunity to work with them.
Āris, Markus, what about your experience? What about some great examples that you evidenced?
I cannot really give. Yeah. Okay, so I cannot really give like specific examples naming the companies, but I can tell you from ex-Europe's experiences that one of our most requested services is corporate matchmaking. So how it works is that the corporations come with their innovation challenges, and they pick the startups they could possibly cooperate with, and then they pitch their solutions for this. And I cannot name them because I don't think many of these have been announced, so I don't want to step on anyone's toes. But like 90% of the time, this ends in a cooperation between the startup and the corporation. So, and more often than not, the corporation actually chooses to cooperate with several of the startups. For example, if 3 of them pitch, they might cooperate with 2 or all 3 of them. So I think there's a lot of success if the corporation is ready to invest their time and to actually work on this sort of partnership or relationship, then the outcome is quite successful more often than not.
Yeah, I think just echoing everybody here, but I think it's you're right with the observation that it's difficult, and once you have a intermediary party which can sort of go between the big and the small and vet and sort of bring some programs, some discipline, some structure into how they actually interact with startups, it becomes much easier for big players to get involved. I think that's sort of one of the main things. And I think a lot of the, like I said, it comes down to risk. Some of these big corporations just see startups as taking on more risks, and people within big corporations have jobs to protect. It doesn't really doesn't give them comfort to risk their reputations inside the big corporations by letting a company come in without it being vetted. So I think it's great with a program like that. Yeah, I think that's a great way of adding value. Yeah.
How would you put it? Which of these green tech areas is now trending? Where are the most players, both from startup end and corporate end? Which are the most popular ones? Is it like food or mobility or energy or lifestyle things?
Great question, Sarah, Adriana. Really, really good. I think it's happening all over, right? It's just attacking from everywhere. So it doesn't seem to be one specific one that's hitting. It's just anywhere. And Ru, it's really cool to hear about your company as well. I don't think people truly understand the significance of bees in the natural world. I think it's if we lose bees, I think it's something like close to 60% of all food will disappear. We won't have access to it because the bees are such an integral part of the process. And correct me if I'm wrong there, but it seems to be a huge problem. So obviously foods, I think it's just naturally to look at the UN sustainability goals, to look at some of the areas we might find areas of innovation that's going to come up, but definitely like drinking water, food, transportation, the emissions in the atmosphere is really is becoming the most vital driver for innovation now, and in transportation, micromobility. So there's lots of interesting things happening. I don't know what your Ru and Āris, Adriana, what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I can only refer back to what Marcus said. I pretty much agree with everything he said. I think transportation and mobility is a big one. A lot of dealing with traffic management and parking solutions just to reduce the CO emissions and so on. And I think there's also a lot of hype around electric vehicles. The market is growing every year by 30–40%. And I know the big name is Tesla, obviously, but there are quite a few like smaller startups in the Netherlands, Germany, that are doing great job, like making really cost-efficient and more affordable vehicles. And then another thing I could mention is, I guess, vertical farming. I think it still has a way to go, but it's an amazing way to sort of produce food in industrial environments, but it still has to deal with some reducing electricity costs and things like that to really become profitable and efficient.
Yeah, I vertical farming, urban farming, stuff like that. Also with and Rue, you probably know more about this than me, but combining that with LED lights, new types of LED lights coming out, and the convergence with biotechnology, the ability to grow food faster, seems to be a super interesting area, and there's lots of startups attacking this as well. But I guess some of that still has to have manual bees flying around, Rue. So maybe you can shed some lights on what's the limiting factor here. I mean, nature puts. I mean, we can solve a lot of things with technology, but something is we need to leave to nature.
Certainly, I think that's one of the reasons why this whole idea of doing something related to bees was so attractive to us, because there's just so many things that we can do, and the technology, it keeps developing, and there's like the possibilities are endless. So we almost need to like tame ourselves a little bit and just take it slow, because it's easy to get distracted. So that's why, like, even with the way it all started, like the first product that we built at the hackathon, then that was like kind of the 0.1 prototype, and then we were improving it during the last year and almost managed to finish, but then some issues with the parts that we can get on time. So we figured, okay, what we can do, we need to iterate, we need to do something else. And a lot of these beekeepers, they've been asking us for scales, because that's something they're more familiar with. And this weight data is just like very practical, and they understand straight away what it actually means during the season, when there's the blooming period and the weight goes up all of a sudden. They know the actions they need to take. So we iterated to actually launch that as the first product just at the end of last year, at the end of December. So now we've been selling that, and also working on the other bits that will make the complete system all together. But there could be so many things that we can do eventually in regards to all types of optics and I don't know, maybe some type of drones. We will see. But kind of, yeah, we need to take it slow and just take it one product at a time, because really the opportunities here are super interesting.
I'll throw you an idea, because me and a friend actually had a brainstorming session around this, and we came to realize we should all be beekeepers. Like everyone should. I mean, everyone who has a yard should have this little house or like a mini what's it called, the beekeeping house, the box,
the beehive.
Yeah, so if you could like make a consumer-friendly version where it's super easy to just put it in the backyard and give it some, I don't know, give it some flowers, or an easy way to upkeep the thing. I would love to have some bees in my backyard.
Yeah, that's definitely quite an idea for like some type of eco hipster. I think it could be quite trendy, and I think there are some companies that probably done a similar type of thing already, and it's something that we may explore in the future. We have actually looked at the urban beekeeping angle, and it's super interesting. And even in Riga, like you might have heard, there's bees, say on Āris, on Latviešu biedrības nams, all these kind of places, even the Riga City Council as well. I think they have some beehives. So eventually, I'm sure that they will get there, and we'll actually explore that angle a bit more as well. But then one thing that we need to keep in mind, that this type of thing, it needs to come with education as well. It cannot be simply, okay, here's this hive, like, okay, here's some bees, like, yeah, do your thing.
Yeah,
there's no really space for experimentation when it comes to animals that you're responsible for. So I think that only if we can create like a really accessible education, which is not the case at the moment. So that's something that we can really explore and maybe do it like as a package, especially like through these relationships we have with the Latvian Beekeeping Association as well, because those guys, they really know what they're doing, and we can get the best quality education also to the common man out there to be able to do this. But yes, certainly something that we may look at in the future.
Just an idea.
Yeah. So, but let's get back to acceleration programs. So we've got the task to dig in. And so the question, what are the aspects, what are the angles in consideration when a startup considers some acceleration program to participate in? What are they looking at? What's the points of the value? How would you put it?
Yeah, do you want me to go, or Āris, do you want to go?
I guess I could start. I think the first thing is the startup has to evaluate where it is in its development. So just because an accelerator is accepting new applications doesn't mean that you have to join. So you do really need to evaluate the fit. And depending on the type of accelerator, some offer some funding and take equity in return, like a Future Hub or X Europe doesn't do this. So it's just more service-based and you provide value in that. But it's definitely worth evaluating whether or not it's worth doing it. Because if the accelerator takes too much equity, you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot for the future. And that's a really important thing that you have to check. Another thing I would say is checking the track record of the accelerator. If it's been around for a while, you can definitely reach out to some of the alumni, get some testimonials and things like that. For newer programs, obviously it's not as easy because they have just started. And then from the accelerator point of view, I would say what we would like the startups to really do is to see whether or not they are able to actually commit for the program. Because it's almost like a full-time job. At X Europe, we try to work around the schedules as much as possible and not take as much time up. But still, when we evaluate the applications, it's definitely something we take into consideration. Because now, when everything is taking place online, it has never been easier not to show up. And it's definitely, we're looking for commitment from the startup side to actually take in the knowledge that we provide and enjoy the services and get the most out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good points there. I've directed programs of up to 4 months, 4 or 5 months. That's been too long in terms of going back to your questions, Adriana, in terms of the length, duration. And I've done programs down to 1 month, and I think 3 is a perfect duration, because it's it's 90 days. I mean, it's achievable, and like Āris says, you're sort of taking away the founder from his current work. So there is a workload, and you're looking for commitment, but also this understanding of like the founder actually has a lot of goals he's trying to pursue, and the time is of the essence, because the only advantage you have as a startup is you're quicker, and so timing in time is your only asset, because you don't have capital and you don't have a big organization. So we fully understand that we're taking away focus from the founder to actually do his job, but then again, we think we have value that in our network, in the workshops, that we're adding value to the company. Obviously, we want that because we're an accelerator. The way we make money is by making these teams great, so that we can exit or there's a liquidation event for us. We want them to. We're there for like 7 to 10 years with these companies, so we really want to help them and grow as fast as possible. So we believe there's value there, and I think the fact that there's so many accelerators, there's a big joke in Norway now that there's more accelerators than there are startups. I don't know if the same thing is fact in Latvia, but it's definitely been the talk of the town, and I think we need to I think we need to have better programs, more professional, so that we can actually create an ecosystem that's adding value, significant value to these startups. If not, the acceleration model is going to lose its reputation, and people are not going to join. People are going to see it as unrelevant, boring, waste of time, and that's also a lose for us, a lose for corporations. So we want to avoid that at all costs.
Ru, when you decided, I'm sorry, Ru, when you decided to join, I think you were part of Build Accelerator and also ex-Europe. So what were your assumptions in joining these accelerators? What were you looking for, and did you get it?
Yeah, so I wanted to add from a startup point of view, and in a very practical way, I would say there are 4 aspects. So number 1 is the reputation. So like I actually get lots of emails from all types of weird sounding accelerators or programs, and like there's so much going on right now. I can't even keep up. I just have a quick read and I delete most of them, because if there's no credibility, right? If there's no names that actually ring the bell to me, if I look at the investors, the list, the partners, right, and there's nobody I know, then like why should I trust these people? So for example, with the ex-Europe, straight away it's like TechChill. Oh, amazing! I mean, I've been to TechChill, great experience. We largely exist because of TechChill also. So it was like, yeah, okay, this is exactly what they offer. Yeah, sounds good. It's not a massive time commitment. Great. So that was a good fit for us, especially given that we are in a very early stage, and we just need to really to get what we can at the moment, right? So the second aspect is money, right? So I would say with ex-Europe, of course, there's no money involved, but there were other value added in other ways. But with money, I would say, I mean, that's the thing that's, if a startup is being capital efficient, then that's the thing that actually helps most. And for us, we were lucky that Build It were actually part of the judging panel when we took part in the hackathon. So they remembered us, and we showed some progress when we applied. So that obviously really helped. And they have a great program and a really good deal. That actually brings me to the third aspect, which is equity. So it's not just about how much money you get, but how much equity you give for it. And for example, with Build It, is actually convertible loan. So you don't have to do a valuation when you have nothing, which I think it makes much more sense. So like our valuation right now will be actually determined at the beginning of next year. So it just makes us much more, it relieves the pressure and just helps us to focus on the work to actually boost the valuation, and then it will be determined during the next financing round if it hits a certain threshold. That's how it works. And then the last aspect really is the network as well. So kind of who are you being introduced? Like with ex-Europe, for us, it wasn't really the corporate focus. So maybe it's not in that regard as much, but it's more like the educational side of things with ex-Europe was great, and that was really, really useful. Was with like big name accelerators like Y Combinator and Techstars and stuff like that. It's like straight away, if you get in, then like your valuation is gonna be way higher than it would be otherwise, and the type of investors that you get introduced, so they have a huge network and then that brand name, so that really helps. So I would say, yeah, these are the 4 main aspects really. So again, to reiterate, reputation, money, network, and the equity that you give.
Thank you for explicit answer. We have a question coming in. Well, actually looking for an advice. For a very early stage, just an idea stage, sustainable business idea, how to start, where to enter, what would be your tip? Shall this viewer start with participation in some hackathon to see if the idea has really an essence? or maybe there is some other advice that you would rather give.
Yeah, I think hackathons are great. I love hackathons. I facilitate sometimes something called Startup Weekend, which is I don't know if there would be in Latvia as well, or it's basically all over the world. And this is one of the TechStars programs, and it's sort of like a very low-hanging sort of event where you can come in pretty much without anything, with an idea on a napkin, and you can sort of test it out, see if people get excited, and then you get to teach lean, the lean stack, lean competence over the weekend, and also learn how to almost simulate how to work as a startup over a weekend. So I think these things are fantastic ways of learning about entrepreneurship as a profession.
So hackathons, that would be the first step. Now, well, we kind of have to wrap up, and I would like for you to give some, how to say, like, what's your advice for the future hub? Be it the startups, be it the corporates, what's the thing that we should not forget in these 12 weeks going through this co-creation?
Yeah, Āris, do you want to start? Or
I would say pay a lot of attention to facilitation, and it's something that I mentioned before, especially when it comes to the corporate challenges. It's really useful that representatives from the accelerator itself are involved in the conversation, at least in the beginning. So in this way, you can guide both sides to reaching some sort of an agreement and moving in the right direction.
Okay, facilitation. Anything else?
Yeah, I would say I would add corporate buy-in. So it's super important to get buy-in from higher up, even top executives who's who on paper they want to see lots of excitement and engagement and blah blah blah, but actually dedicating some resources to follow up on the program, perhaps also have it as an ambition to get staff involved in this, and maybe staff joining these events, or even pitching ideas, or leaning and try to adopt some of that startup culture, because ultimately that's what a corporate needs to do, is learn how to work more agile. And there's no better way of actually seeing what the startups are doing, because they are coming for your business, basically, whether you like it or not. So there's a saying, if you can't beat them, join them. And I think and that used to be the case for the startups. They used to be crushed by these big established players, but now it's reversed. So it's corporations who needs to look out for hot up and coming startups. So I guess that's advice for me.
And Ru, from the startup point of view?
I think I'm not going to be like super original, but I'm going to utilize a concept that I heard from somebody who's been a great inspiration and also who are considered to be really wise. Gary Vaynerchuk is exceptional marketeer and a great entrepreneur. He has this concept called clouds and dirt. So it's essentially about these two polar opposites, right? So the clouds is really like the vision, right? Is the pitch. It's the macro view, right? And the dirt is actually the knowledge, is the execution, right? Is the groundwork that you must do in order to succeed. So to not forget about these two aspects and really focus on the ends, pull from both sides at the same time, because like you must go there with ambition to like impact the world in some positive way and give the pitch and like like really work on the emotions to actually get people excited about what you do. But then at the end of the day, like the numbers need to make sense, right? There needs to be some math behind it. And I think the corporates will really help in this regard, because they will kind of cut through the bullshit most likely, and straight away we'll see like, okay, is this actually something that we can use? So yeah, that's kind of my advice, to really consider these both aspects at the same time.
All right. So I hope we will keep up with these expectations, and yeah, wish us good luck. And thank you, gentlemen, for your presence and sharing your thoughts. And our time is up. And well, I am giving the floor back to Dāvis.
Yeah, thank you. What a great discussion. So I think we exchanged with experiences, shared some great ideas and comments with each other, and we even heard some, new ideas already appearing in the B sector from Markus. So good to hear that, and I think a really great panel discussion. And I hope everyone had at least a few takeaways from this discussion. It seems. Yeah, so I at least did, and it seems that we have answered almost all the questions. I see one last for us. How Swedbank Latvia is supporting startups in the financial way. So I could take this. Adriana already mentioned, we have 2 great startups where we have successful partnerships. But for now in Latvia, we are working on a daily basis with early stage startups and supporting them with indirect financial investments. For example, hosting 2 of our Swedbank co-creation spaces at Swedbank main building and Tech Hub Riga Startup House. Also, we are focusing on helping the startups in different business sectors with our basically Swedbank colleagues and experts to provide this support in these directions. Also creating a lot of events around innovation and technology to grow the community. Also providing the easy access to the network. So that's quite some of the angles that we are supporting them. Yeah, once again, I'd like to thank Markus, Āris, Ru, and Adriana for the knowledge you gave us. And let's all give a round of applause to them. Virtual applause. Thank you very much for joining today. And before I say goodbye, I wanted to mention that if you are interested in technology and innovations, and you would like to be updated about all the startup related activities, news, and events in Latvia, feel free to join our Swedbank Co-Creation Space Facebook group. So I also would like to thank TechChill for partnering up with us for this event, and I can't wait until May to attend the conference itself. So thank you all, and until the next time, take care. Bye.